Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and something I think that will be very unusual indeed. One of the comments on a recent video about Phistomefel said that video marked the 20th edition of Cracking the Cryptic, in which the solve of the Phistomefel puzzle therein had taken over an hour. Now, I am assured that this puzzle, which is called Pliers, and it is Phistomefel's new puzzle, should take a relatively normal amount of time, which sounds incredibly strange. We've just got some little thermometers in the grid today, and what is it? It's not a knight's move, it's a king's move restriction, so a little bit of a chess restriction, and that's enough apparently to solve this puzzle, and apparently it might be doable in some reasonable time. So I'm very anxious to try it, and I'll read you the rules properly in a moment or two. Got a few things to tell you about first. Where shall I start? I'll start with Orin Otter, who wrote to us and said that his brother Nicholas would appreciate a shout out today on commemorating the fact that he's been officially adopted. Now, I've never done that sort of announcement before, but Nicholas, welcome to the family, I guess, and I hope you have a brilliant day. I'm sure that's the sort of thing that has cake to celebrate it. So, Nicholas, I hope you have a brilliant celebration day today. And then Alex, it's your birthday today, and your girlfriend Maria wrote us a really nice email and said that you'd appreciate a shout out. I know that the two of you have moved to a new country recently, so I hope that's going well, and I hope you managed to have cake today. Next, what can I tell you about? Well, I'll start with some of the stuff going on over on Patreon. I now know the winners of the another language competition for the solution guide, the best solution guide to the classic Sudoku by Jovial and Shy, but I'm going to announce and talk about that tomorrow because I've got so many other things to talk about. Labours of Hercules, which is our November monthly reward. Let me show you a picture of that if I've got one. I have. There we go. This has been getting the most almighty plaudits. If you are a patron of the channel, please go over there and try it. You will love it. People are loving the art, they're loving the story, they're loving the puzzles, and I'm going to start reading out names because we have had 12 people who have solved all 12 labours, serendipitously enough. But I will tell you, for those of you who are speedsters out there, check this out. Amber Dot. We received their email 4 hours and 30 minutes after the hunt was posted. That is seriously impressive. I say that as somebody who tested the puzzles. Mark tested the puzzles. We got nowhere near that time. That is amazing. And also Gonzalo Garcia, who often comments on the videos, always with incredibly quick times. Gonzalo finished in about 5 hours. So those two were the fastest by a long distance. Very well done. But my biggest takeaway from this is please try the puzzles. You won't regret it. Now, what else? Today is the day, it's the 2nd of November, where I will finish reading the names of people who solved Duality, which was our October monthly rewards. So these people solved all 14 of those puzzles. Very well done to Jochen Vermeulen, I think, Nick Goddard, Kimberly Brackney, Emmy and Jeff Nicholson, Johnny Kaufman, Bear Finn, Kate Savaria, Sergeant Pepper, Bob Hoff, DTA, Alex Smith and Jean-Paul Pinault. And I am going to read out the names of some more people as well who did send in what we think was the correct answer, but they didn't get the right spelling. But we think it would have been a very strange word to have come up with an incorrect spelling. So we're going to credit the following as well: Joseph Duncan, Andrew Montileone, Brian Scott, Mark Dumont, Austin Miller, Chris Palmer, Chris McNabb, Emily Tinney and Brian Scott. Very well done, all of you. I've read out Brian Scott's name twice there. How did I manage to do that? I don't know. Well done, Brian. You did it twice, apparently. Okay, what else can I tell you about? There's a few things, obviously. There's the Kickstarter. We're running out of days for the Kickstarter, so please support that. This is a sort of mock-up of some of the pages therein. There's all sorts of extra stretch goals at the moment, so if you want to get a copy of our brand new book, that is the only way to do it. And then, of course, there's the gas pack, which is available now on your app stores and Android stores. It is the latest expansion pack, and it is the pack that will teach you how to solve these variant Sudokus. It is the best thing I can recommend if you want to learn how to do these sorts of puzzles. And with that, let's have a look at what Phistomefel has got in store for us. These are the rules of his latest puzzle. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Along a thermometer, digits increase from the bulb end, and diagonally adjacent cells cannot contain the same digit. So, what does that mean? Let's talk about that diagonally adjacent cells cannot contain the same digit constraint just for a moment. That's commonly called a king's move constraint, and it wouldn't operate in terms of the middle cell of the grid, because obviously everything that is a chess king's move away from that or in a diagonally adjacent cell already couldn't repeat whatever this is. So it matters on boundaries. For example, if this was a 5, then neither of those cells could be a 5. Which obviously these cells wouldn't be seen by normal Sudoku rules. Normally these could absolutely be a 5. Here they can't be, because there would be 5s a king's move apart or in diagonally adjacent cells. That cell, if that was a 5, then this couldn't be a 5. And that one as well, and that one as well. But you'd get a sort of cross-boxing there on a diagonal adjacency, which we mustn't have. Now, the thermometer rule is very simple. You can see the thermometer's shaped like pliers. So as we go up this thermometer, we've got to do something like that. 1, 2, 4, 7. We've got to make sure as we move along the thermometer from the bulb end, we keep the digits increasing. Just as mercury would rise as the temperature rises, that's what would happen. And I've just remembered, I forgot to mention to thank you for those of you who joined us last night on our stream of the game Overhaul. We had an absolute blast. That is a brilliant, brilliant game. It's Sudoku where you get attacked by plants. I put a clip of it on Twitter today, and it's magnificently good fun, but highly stressful. Anyway, do have a go at this. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now, well, okay, perhaps because I have done so many king's move puzzles before, I can see something quite interesting immediately about that. Well, and indeed that, and the others as well. And that is that I don't think you can repeat a digit in those 8 cells. So if I just highlight these 8 cells, it's very obvious to say that none of those cells can repeat, because they're all on the same thermometer, and as we have to increase as we move along a thermometer, none of these could be the same. But how could that be the same as anything on that thermometer? Well, it simply cannot be, because this cell sees those 2 in its row, it sees that one in its column, and it sees that one by the king's move restriction. And that's going to be the same for anything here. And it's a very in fact, it's very, very symmetrical pattern. If you think about it, it's sort of, you know, that logic that applies to this cell could equally apply to that cell, just looking at the other thermo, of course. Yeah. All right. So this is a set of 8 digits that are all different, as is this. Right. So I'm not sure if this is a sensible thing to comment, but I will make the comment. It's not possible for yellow and blue to contain the same 8 digits, is it? Because if we think about what the consequence of that was, imagine this was 1 to 8 and this was 1 to 8. Then you'd have to put double 9 in there, because there must be a 9th, there must be a 9th digit in this row, and there must be a 9th digit in this row, and you can't make those things the same. So yellow and blue are definitely different in terms of their composition. They must have a different set of 8 digits. So now is it to do with the 2 and the 8 in column 1? If you can't put 2 and 8 in this little domino, and these, yes, okay, so there has to be a 2. There has to be a 2 in yellow, and because you can't then have another 2 in yellow, there has to be a 2 in blue as well. So that's going to be interesting, because immediately I'm going to get a pencil marked position for 2s. let me explain. Where can 2 go on a thermometer? Well, it can't ever go in a 3rd position or a 4th position, because if we put 2 here, that would be a 1, and then this would have to be a 0, and that will not work. So there must be a 2 in one of those cells, and that 2 is not in these cells by sudoku. So there is now a 2 in one of these cells, but we know there's a 2 on this pair of pliers as well. So it's now not in any of those. It can't be far along the thermometer, so it's in one of those. This is just what I love about this great man's puzzles. They are so weird and wonderful. I mean, who else comes up with nonsense like this? It is just mad. Right, okay, now I'm going to do that exact same thing with these pliers then. Because again, I can't repeat a digit in that plier. Let's have a different colour for every... Oh, I hate that colour for that plier. I can't see it very well. Red. I can clearly see the grey against the red. Now, what colour could I have here then? Maybe green. Yeah, that's fine. I can see the grey again. Right, so this plier must have a 2 in it. And that 2, again, it must sit in one of those cells and can't be in the top. So that's a 2. And this must have a 2 in it. Oh, hang on. This is... This is the wrong... Right, sorry, I hadn't noticed this. This is a different way round. So what's that? Oh dear, that's not going to be good. Right, well, it means there's a 2 in one of those 2 cells, which makes this very awkward to pencil mark. I don't normally like doing this, pencil marking across a box, because normally what I'm saying here is there is a 2 in one of those 2 positions within the box. So when I do corner pencil marks, I'm focused on box logic. I'm thinking about the 3x3 box, and I'm saying, okay, the 2 in this box can only go in those 2 cells. Now here, I really would like to record the fact that the 2 is in one of those positions on the thermo, which is a slightly different thing. I'm going to live with that and try and remember what's going on, I think. Right, so maybe we do the same thing with 8s, do we? I'm not sure, but it does seem a bit suspicious to me that 2 and 8 are both 1 digit away from an extreme digit. And when you think about thermos, it is the extreme digits that are the most restricted. You know, where can you put 1 on a thermo? Well, only in the bulbs. Where can you put 9 on a thermo? Only in the tips. So 2 and 8 they've been chosen for a reason, haven't they? So as you can't put 8 in this domino, there must be an 8 on the yellow thermo, or the yellow pair of pliers. And it can't go as early as here, because 8, 9, 10. Right, so there's an 8 in one of these. Ooh. Oh, this is very different now. Because I've got to put an 8 on this pair of pliers, and it can't go in the tips now. But we know it can't go too early on the thermos either, so there's an 8 in one of those 2 cells. Oh, I see. Right. I know what yellow is. Oh, that's absolutely amazing. That is so beautiful. Good grief. Right. So look, we can lock an 8 into these, well, one of these 2 cells. It's the same as this 2 pencil mark. It's not very pleasant, but it is pleasant in terms of its result. Because whichever one of these is an 8, well, what's going to happen on the tip of that thermo? It's going to be a 9. Now, if there's a 9 in the tip of the thermo, that has a profound effect on the yellow pliers. Because now you can't, the only place we could put a 9 in the yellow pliers is in the tip. We just said that. And now we can't put a 9 in the tip, because if you put a 9 in either of those cells, because of the king's move problem, you couldn't put a 9 in those 2 cells. So as there is no 9 in those pliers, that is a set of the digits 1 to 8, which means there's a 1 in one of these 2 cells, because the only place you could put 1 on pliers is in a bulb. So that means I can't put a 1 on these pliers. So that's a set of the digits 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you can't put a 1 on a pair of pliers and it's 8 different digits, this must... Yeah, oh, no, simpler. Just be simple, Simon. Where does 2... Don't be simple, Simon. You know what I mean. Because I can't put 1 on this pliers, and we know it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, therefore, but I can't put 2 here, because that would require this to be a 1. So that's got to be a 2, which means that's got to be a 2, which means, the 2 on a thermo must have a 1 before it, so that must be the 1. And presumably that's very important for some reason. I'm not sure what that reason is. Let me just think about this for a moment or two. The 8. Right. Okay. So we've worked out that for yellow, 8 is the biggest number on the pliers. So 8 can't be here because that would force a 9 to be there. So there is an 8 in one of these. But that must mean that the 8... We know, right, and we know that the red pliers has an 8 and a 9 on it. But we know the 8 is not in the end of the pliers now. So there must be an 8 in one of those. And that thermo, whichever one it is that has 8 on it, has 9 in its tip. Okay. Now, what do we do now? Oh, I know what we do now. Oh, this is really beautiful. I don't know how you do this. Every time you do this. Right. So, if there's no 1 within the red pliers, and I can only put 1 in the green pliers, that domino must take the second 1 that we know exists in these 2 rows. And that can't go there, so it's got to go here. Which means that the 1 on these pliers has to be in the top of the top bulb, because it can't be in that bulb, which gives me a 2 here. God, I've got tears in my eyes. This is just ridiculous. I can put 2 in the middle box. Because these 2 cells can't be 2 because they'd be a king's move away from other 2s. So that's a 2 by sudoku. Okay. Right. Okay. And now let's come back to this arrangement up here where I can't put 1 in this domino. And I can only put 1 in the yellow pliers, so there must be a 1 in the blue pliers, and that must be in one of those 2 cells. Oh, and it's not here by sudoku. Right, so that's a 1, that's a 2. Which means there's a 1 in one of those 2 cells by sudoku. There's a 2 in one of these 2 cells by sudoku. I can put 1 in one. Oh no, I can't. Look, where does 1 go in this box? It can't touch its friend here. So I can place 1 in this box. So I've got a 1 down here. Now, can we improve upon that somehow, some way? Probably. Right, if you don't mind, I'm just going to audit these boxes again. I know this one doesn't have 9 on it, so this is 1 to 8. This one does have 8 and 9 on it, so I don't... can this have... I think it can have... So I think that could be a 6, or that could be a 6. Or maybe even that could be a 6. Okay, so it's not 6. So I don't think we know what that one is. And obviously whatever that one is going to determine what this one is. Okay, here's another point. Because there's only 1 9 within yellow and blue, there must be a 9 in that domino. And I know this is cross box again, but these are the things that I think I'm going to have to accept in trying to solve this puzzle. Now, down here we know this one doesn't have 1 in it, so that that's led to this one here. And this one's really different because the pliers are going in the same direction. So, right, I know there must be an 8 in this one. Yeah, right, this can't be a 9 though, can it? Now, because I've got this 9 pencil mark here. So that means there must be 9s on both of these pliers in rows 6 and 7. So there must be a 9 in one of these cells. And because this can't be an 8, there must be an 8 on these pliers as well. But I don't think I know where the 8 goes. I might be wrong about that. There may be a way for me to say it's got to sit behind the 9. But it seems like we could have an 8-9 pair at the end of these pliers, and then they just wend their way down back towards their bulbs. So it's different from here where the 9 was forced out of the end of the other pliers. Okay. So how do we resolve this then? Is it sudoku somehow? Or is it pliers somehow? Do we have to use the pliers? We could use the pliers in what way? Yeah, okay, you can do some weirdnesses with the pliers. I've just spotted something that's weird and rather wonderful. Yeah, well, this to me is very beautiful. If that's an 8, you get 2 9s in this box, because if that's an 8, remember I've got to put an 8 in one of these cells. So if I make this 8, that's got to be 8, that's got to be 8. But now look, I've got 2, in fact let's do it longhand. I've got 8s on 2 thermometers here which have to have 9s in their tips, and these 9s here would be in the same box of the sudoku. So that's not going to work. So this is not an 8. And if that's not an 8, that means that's an 8. And if that's an 8, that means that's a 9. Which means none of this can be 8 and 9 here. So it's right, this is great. So that means I've got 8 and 9 on this thermo, and that means the 9 does shroud the 8. Which means this is not an 8, which means that must be an 8, which on this thermo means that's a 9, that's an 8. And there we go. We've got a whole load more stuff. Right, where does 9 go in the middle box? And the answer is not there because it's on a thermo, not there because it's on a thermo and it's not in the tip, so it goes here. Which means that's the 9, which we could have got from this 9. And now, well, that must be massive, surely. Yes, 8. 8 in box 2 has to be at the top now, because it can't touch this 8. So 8's in one of these cells in box 1 by sudoku. 8's in one of... Oh, there are 4 8s looking at this box, so we can place 8 down there. It's got to be there. And that's displaced a 2 pencil mark, so I'm going to take a 2 as well for my troubles. Can we do more with 2? I feel like I've got a lot of 2s in the grid. I have got a lot of 2s in the grid. I've got 7 2s in the grid and an X-wing of 2s left, but they don't seem to involve either king's moves or thermos, so I'm not sure I can resolve those yet. What about 9s? Let's have a look at 9s again. 9, yeah, okay, 9 in this box. It can't go there because it would be a king's move away from its friend, so it's in one of 2 places. So 9 is in a 1-9 pair in box thingy thing down here, box 9. 9. Okay, I'm not seeing how to do much more with the 9s. So basically we've really majored on the digits 1, 2, 8 and 9 now. That digit's catching my eye because that digit can't be 1, 2, 8 or 9 and therefore it's got to live in this domino in box 9. So whatever that digit is, which is in the bulb of a thermo, how are we going to notate this? I could use letters. I'm going to use letters. So that digit there is in one of those two cells, and it's in the bulb of a thermo. So it's not. It's less than 7. So it's 3, 4, 5, or 6. And in box 5, A can't be here, because that would be a king's move away from itself. So A is in one of those two cells. Right, so A can't be 3 anymore, I don't think. How could that be a 3? It couldn't be a 3. You'd need to have 1s and 2s beneath it on the thermo, which you can't have. If that's a 3, that needs to be a 2.5. That doesn't work. Right, so A is at least 4, and it was a maximum of 6. Right, so that's 4, 5, or 6. Which means that's 5, 6, or 7. Which is not 6. This might be why we've got a given 6 in the grid. Although that's not getting rid of an extreme option from this cell. No bobbins. Okay, alright, let's ask where 3 goes in row 7 then. Oh no, it can go. Oh, it can go there. That's really weird. Why did my brain think it couldn't go there? Yeah, I think it's because I'm seeing this thermo. I'm seeing 4, 5, 6, 5, 7, and my brain is saying, well, that can't be a 3 then. But it's on a different thermo with a 1 and a 2 on it, so it can be a 3. So 3 is in one of 2 places in row 7. Okay. I don't know. I don't know if we can... Can we do better than that then? We know those can't be 3. Oh, goodness. Sorry. Okay, it's totally simple and I totally missed it. Where does 3 go in box 5? I've spent a great deal of time working out that A couldn't be a 3. Well, if A can't be 3 because it would be sort of too far along its thermo, that cell definitely can't be 3. And that cell can't be a 3 because that would have to be a 2.5. So 3 can only go there. Bobbins. Right, so what's that doing? Well, that's probably... Yes. Okay, so where does 3 go in this row now? And it can't go here, here, or here. This one because of the king's move restriction. And if it went here, this cell would have to be a 1 or a 2, which it can't be. So I think 3 goes, well, sort of in the corner. Not quite good enough to get a song, but it goes there. Now, so that means 3 is in one of those cells. Again, it can't go here, though, can it? Because if it goes there, then that needs to be a 1 or a 2. So that's not going to work for us. Okay. Now, have we now got somewhere with this? So let me think about this. If that's a 3, that means I only need to put 1 3 in the pliers, and this can be the 3 again. I keep getting confused by the possibility that this is a 1, 2, 3 thermometer. I don't think this is that easy. It's not that easy. It's incredibly beautiful. I cannot tell you how amazing this... I mean, when Phistomefel discovered this pattern, he must have just been, oh my goodness, that this exists in nature, or nature as I have seen it, is just quality. Okay. Okay, so what's 1, 2, 3, That's not 3, that's at least 4, so that's at least 5. That's at least 3, 4, so that's at least 5. But what's the problem with this being a 3? Nothing at all. Oh, wait a second. Oh, it's this box again. Oh my goodness me. I could have just filled this in straight away. Where does 4 go in this box? It can't go here because this can't be a 3. It can't go here because I'd need a 1 or a 2 in those cells. So it's not in those cells. So it's in one of these two. But if it's here, that gives these cells they have to be the same personality, and they're far too close to each other and on the same thermo. So this is 4. There's not necessarily A, but it might be A, so we've got to bear this in mind, that this might be the same digit as this. That's a 3, because we need a number between 2 and 4 on the thermo. So that's not a 3, which means this is a 3. Now if that's a 3, so the way my brain works is that's a 3, so it can't appear in the green thermo. Whereas really what I should be doing is saying there's 2 3s there. So it really, really can't appear in the green thermo. Sorry. Right. So what's that doing then? I can see I've got digits I can sort of pencil mark in at the end of row 7. I've got... What else have I got? Have I got anything good or not? Let's pencil mark these digits in. These have got to be 4, 5, 6 and 7. Now there's more. We can do better than that. That clearly can't be 7 because this can't be 8. And that can't be 4 because this can't be 3. And that is very annoying indeed. I'm feeling it's to do with this given 6. Oh, maybe in this box. Can that be? That can be 6. 6 is in one of 2 places in box 6. I know that this run of digits is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, isn't it? So I've got to put 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So that digit is the same as that digit. These digits are 5, 6 and 7 as well. So that digit's not 5, 6 or 7. So that digit's 3 or 4. That's beautiful. Good grief. Right. Let's look at box 5. These cells are the only digits left. They're 5, 6 and 7. But that made me think about this cell. Because this cell has the unusual quality in this puzzle that it sees that 5, 6, 7 triple. Whatever this, if we try and make this a 5, you now can't put 5 in box 5 anymore. You can't put it there, and these 2 cells are a king's move away from this. So that doesn't work. So that means this cell has to be only 3 or 4, I think. Now it can't be 3, because it's too far along a thermometer. So it must be 4, and that must be 3. That must do something. What does that do? So let's double click our 3s for a moment. So 3 is down here. 3 is in one of those 2 cells as well. 3... I don't think I can do any better. What about 4 then? Oh, no. 4 is in one of 3 positions in box 8. These cells, oh, maybe this is where we get some joy. So these are 5, 6 and 7. And obviously, yeah, look at this thermo. This thermo's done now because it's got to increase. And the only way it can increase is 5, 6, 7. That's so beautiful. And that becomes 7 because we need to put a 7 in this row. We'd already worked that out. Aha. Now this cell, remember, it was appearing in one of those 2 cells in box 5, and it now, well, we can see it can't be 7 because of its thermo, so it must be 4. So that's 4, which means that's not 4, which means that's not 5. So we've got a 5, 6, 7 triple there, which means those two squares, which include A, are 3 and 4. I'm sure that matters for a reason I can't see. So those two squares become a 5, 6 pair. Do we know? Well, no. Okay. Maybe I pencil mark these cells now, do I? These are 5, 6 and 7. And that one can't be 5, or that can't be 7, because that would have to be higher than 7. So that seems to have to be 6. That's 7, therefore, and that's 5, and that's 6, and that's 6. And in this box, we need to put in 4, 5, and 7. So that's 7. That's 5. Aha, that's 6, that's 7. That's great. So in this box, we need a 5 and a 4. Now, has that broken? It looks to me like it's broken the thermos, but I don't actually think, now I stare at it again, it has. Okay, let's get rid of A from the pencil mark there. That cell's a gimme. That's a 3. Yes, that is a gimme 3. So that gives me a 3 over there by sudoku. These two squares are known in the sense they are 9 and 7, which we can't do. But we can pencil mark, so those two squares are 4 and 5. We've done all of our pliers now as well, so it is just going to be King's Move Sudoku from now on, which is potentially a bit worrying. Let's see what we can do with that. That's not 5. Whoa, I don't know what I pencil marked in there, but I don't trust it now. 4. So this is 4 or 8. That can't be 8. It sees an 8 in the column. That one can't be 4 because it sees a 4 by King's Move, and that doesn't resolve anything. Alright, let's try this column. 4, 5 and 6. Well, that's a naked single apparently. Is that right? Seems to be. There's a 5, 6 pair there, so that's got to be 4. So that's got to be 5, and that's got to be 6, which is potentially important. This 5 means this is 8 and this is 4, which means this is 8, which means these two squares are 1 and 9. This 4 gives me the 4 and the 5 at the end of the row. So 5 is now placed here by sudoku. Come on, what does that mean? 6 is interesting in this box, look, because these 6's pinch those two cells away, so that's got to be a 6, which means there's a 6 here by sudoku. Right, what do we need to complete this column? 1 and 2. Yeah, that's lovely. That's lovely. Okay, this is a 1-2 pair. This can't be 1 here, because it would rule 1 out of both of those cells, so that's got to be 2. That's got to be 1, that's got to be 1, that's got to be 9. Now, there's a 9. Oh, well, then we need a 9 at the bottom of this column, so it's got to be there. We need a 7 at the bottom of this column, it's got to be there. So these two squares, 4 and 5 again. There's a lot of, I feel like I've said that a lot. There's like a 4-5 pair everywhere. I don't know how we resolve that one. These two squares are 1, which we can place, which gives me some 1s and 9s by the looks of things. So that's probably a 7. Yep. So this is a 3-7 pair. No, it's not. It's a 7-3 pair, 3-4 pair, 4-5 pair. 5 will go here, and if I haven't made a ricket, that's a 2. What a brilliant, brilliant puzzle. That is so beautiful. It's taken me under 40 minutes to solve a Phistomefel puzzle, so it is easier. But I'm seriously... I think I was very fortunate in that I could see the pliers shape immediately as being very, very constrained. So it was obvious is probably a little bit strong, but almost obvious to me that you couldn't repeat a digit on the pliers. But what I absolutely loved about this was that these given digits, the 2 and the 8, and the profound effect they have simply because of the direction the pliers are facing. And literally, we could almost well, we almost filled in all the 1s, 2s, 8s and 9s simply because of the way these givens interacted on the pliers. It was so beautiful to me. You could get the 9. How did it work? It was the 9 stopped you having a 9 here. Then I knew what yellow was. And then I think I knew... yeah, so I knew there was a 1 in yellow. And that locked 1 out of red, which meant I had to have a 1 in one of those cells and a 1 in one of these cells. Anyway, it kept bouncing around the pliers all over the place until we could just fill in the puzzle. I was a bit slow in the middle, but you'll forgive me that, I hope. Let me know how you got on. Anyway, let me know if this is your first Phistomefel and you managed to solve it. That will give me a lot of joy. I do enjoy the comments as well, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.